Hello everybody, this is Mr. Storm, and this week we're going to learn how to add links, hypertext links, and we're going to also learn how to add images to our web page because quite frankly our web page is pretty gross looking. It's not that awesome. We want to add some images to, liven it up a bit. So first of all, let's talk about how to create links. Well, the internet is an amazing place, right? But it wouldn't be so great if there was no way to link from one page to another. So in order to create a link in a web page, we need to create what's called an anchor or an anchor element. Anchor elements will allow you to anchor a specific amount of text or image or whatever to a different place on the internet so that you can actually go there when you click on it. So in order to create an anchor element, first you need to, have your your caret here, your less than symbol. And you need to type what's called, or you need to type A for anchor, right? So that indicates that it's an anchor element. And at this point, we're going to get into what's called an attribute. Attributes are modifiers to an element itself. The anchor element by itself wouldn't do anything. There's really nothing there. I mean, it would be a button. Let's see. Some text. And I'm going to save it, and then we will open up, where is my, there we go. Let's open that up. So now I have some text on my screen and it doesn't really do anything. I can't click it, I can't do anything with it. And the reason for that is because I haven't told it what to do. I haven't told it where to go when I click that link. So the structure of an anchor element is essentially this. You have your element, and then inside the open tag, we're going to add an attribute. Attributes are extremely powerful because they help us to change elements so that they do what we want them to do. And the attribute we want to add for this anchor element is called an href, or hypertext reference. And the HF is going to be equal to whatever your URL is, right? So the URL is going to be the web page or the web address you want to send your people to. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to write href and let's say www.utahmilitaryacademy.org. And I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to refresh my page. And now I have some text that has a hyperlink. And you can tell it's a hyperlink because it's underlined and the color has changed to blue. And when I click that, it'll actually take me, well, it's supposed to take me to a web page, but it didn't. So let's figure out why. Well, sometimes it's not enough just to type www. Sometimes you also have to type https:// right? And that will tell my link that this needs to actually go to the internet. So I'm going to save this. This is Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. And let's refresh that. Come on, go back. There we go. And that should take me to utahmilitaryacademy.org because I included the https://. All right, so that's a mistake you want to make sure you do not make whenever you're creating links. You want to include the https://. Now, some websites aren't going to be HTTPS. Some websites are just HTTP. So you might want to navigate to the website itself and, let's say Google, right? Or let's say I want to go to Reddit, right? When I navigate to Reddit, notice it's HTTPS. Let's go to try CNN.com. And CNN's HTTPS as well. Well, I'm striking out finding a website that's not HTTPS, but whatever. Some of them do exist, but make sure you pay attention to the URL of the website that you're trying to link to. But now that's an actual link. That link will take me to that website. And here I can put anything I want. I can say, Utah Military Academy. And then, the text will be Utah Military Academy, so I can click on it and, it'll take me to Utah Military Academy. We can pop a link right in the middle of a paragraph. For example, I can wrap this inside of a paragraph element. And inside the paragraph element, I can write, I work at, and then here, I can take this whole anchor element here, cut that out, pop that right in there. And so now I have a statement that says I work at Utah Military Academy, and Utah Military Academy is going to be a link. So let me save that and go back and show you what that looks like. So I work at Utah Military Academy, and now it's a link that I can click on to take me to the web page. That's pretty great, right? So links are fantastic tools to use. All right, let's go back to our code and let's talk a little bit more about links, okay? Now I can link to something that is local on my hard drive, right? I would just need to type in the href, I would need to type in the file name of the file I want to open, right? And so for example, index.html, okay? And if I do that correctly, if it finds my file where I tell it to look for it, then it should be able to open up that file, and it did, right? And the reason why it was able to find that file is because both of those websites are in the same directory, right? They're both in the same file. So if I was to tell it to look somewhere else, let's say if my other website was inside a sites folder, my index was inside a sites folder, this would no longer work because it can't find my file. I've changed the file path now. And so what I could do is I can go back into my code and I can type sites / to tell it to look inside the sites folder, then look for the file index.html, right? So I'm going to save that and go back and make sure that actually works. And it does, because I told it where to look for my actual file. Alrighty. Another thing you want to do is you want to set the target attribute. The target attribute is another attribute that allows you to tell this link how to open. You can set it so that it opens in the same tab as the page you're on, or you can set it to open in a completely different tab. The blank, let's see, let's do so if we wanted to open in the same tab, we actually don't have to do anything, but we could force it. We could say target equals underscore self, and that would make it open in the same window that we're in. But what you might want to do is, let's say you don't want to close out the window of the web browser you're on. You just want to create a new tab and then open that link in a new tab. So then what you would do is target underscore blank. Sorry, excuse me. So the target underscore blank will actually tell your web page to open in a different tab once you click the link. So let's actually try that now. So let's refresh, hit that, and notice how I still have my original page, but it opened my new link in a new tab, right? And I can do that all day long. I can add some more links down here. Let's add another anchor element. And my href is going to be equal to, and let's say it's going to be cnn.com. And target equals underscore blank. Okay, and so that should, if I wrote everything correctly and I didn't mess anything up, that should take me to CNN's website, but it should do it in another tab. So click that and it takes me to cnn.com, and it's taking a little while to load. I'm not sure why. So I'm going to go ahead and close that out, because you get the idea. All right. So that's it, or that's links. Let's talk about images for a second. Now, images are extremely important for the internet. Obviously, if you do not have images on your web page, it's not going to be very exciting, just like the image or the web page I have right now, right? This web page is not very exciting at all. It's kind of gross. So let's add some pictures to kind of spice this up a little bit. So the way we want to add images is we're going to use what's called an image element, obviously, but it's img for image, right? Image element is img. And then we want to add some attributes here to allow our image to open properly. The first attribute we need is an SRC, or a source attribute. And the source attribute actually tells us what image to open. Now, the source can be a picture that we have on our hard drive. It could be pictures on the internet. It could be really whatever picture that we have, whatever image we have. And it could be JPEG images, PNGs, it could be bitmaps, it could be GIFs if we want to find a GIF that we can load. So images, any web image that can be displayed on a web page, this is how you're going to do it. So I'm going to find an image, and I'm actually going to find one online really quickly. So let's do images.google.com. And I'm going to find a picture of an airplane. Sure, why not? That's a cool looking airplane image. So now that I found the image I want, what I can do is, if I go over here, right click and save, let's see, copy link address. That's what I want. And when I go back here, I can actually just paste that link address into my image element. Now that's a long link address, and that's okay. That's fine, right? I'm going to go ahead and finish that out. Now, the image element, unlike every other element we've used so far, does not have a close tag. Look at this. There's no closing tag at the end of an image element. Image elements only are open tag elements, right? They do not have closing tags. So don't get confused if you don't have a closing tag at the end of your image element. I'm going to save that, and let's see my airplane picture on my website. And it's telling me that it's having issues here. Let's go back and let's actually save the link. No, I don't want to save it as. Copy image address, right? That's what I did. Well, let's go actually to the website. Oh, it's because that page doesn't actually exist anymore. Yeah, so that's a helpful tool. You want to make sure you actually find the image where it is, where it lives online, and then we'll copy image address and go back. And then I can replace all of this with the new image address that we just copied. Okay, perfect. That's a bit shorter. All right, save, then we'll go back to my web page and open it. And now I have this image of this cool, airplane. Well, there's one important thing that we haven't done yet. Actually, a couple important things, but one important thing that we haven't done is we haven't set this up so that it is ADA compliant. Now, ADA compliance is something that you probably have never heard of before. And you probably, I don't know, maybe don't know why it's important. ADA stands for American Disabilities Act, and the American Disabilities Act is a set of laws that will that dictate how businesses operate. And because web pages themselves are essentially businesses, we need to be compliant with ADA rules and standards, right? And one of the most important ADA rules for web pages is that images, all images, have to have an alt attribute. And the reason for that is because the alt attribute will indicate certain text that will display instead of the image if the image can't pull up. So airplane, right? So I'm going to save that. And let's say I screw up this, the address here, so the image won't pull up. When I go back and refresh my page, it just says airplane, right? And it gives me that broken link or that broken image icon, right? The reason why that's important is because blind people, when they're using the internet, which, yes, blind people use the internet. Everyone uses the internet. When blind people are using the internet, they use something called a screen reader. And the screen reader will actually comb through the HTML on your web page, and it will read out all the important information from that web page vocally. It'll put it through the speakers so they can hear what the web page is supposed to look like, right? When they get to images, if there's no alt attribute on the image, then it won't know what to do with this picture. It'll start reading out this long source attribute, which, really doesn't help. The alt attribute tells it what it's supposed to be, right? Picture of an airplane. I don't even remember what was there. There we go, upload. So we always, always, always want an alt attribute with every image that we put on our web page. You would never, 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 never put an image on a web page without an alt attribute. Okay, and the other thing we want to do is let's go back to our page here. And now that I didn't save it. Control S, go back. So now that I have my picture back, you'll notice that it's way huge. It is way bigger than it needs to be in order for it to look good on my web page, right? This is a giant image and it's way too big, right? So we need to learn how to actually shrink this down. What we need to do is set height and width values for this image itself. And we can do those as attributes as well. So all we do is height, right? It's really just this easy. Height is going to be, let's say it'll be 300 pixels, right? And this is measured in pixels, so you can just type 300. Or you can type px if you want to tell it that, hey, that's what I want, pixels. And width, I will do equals, 500, right? Still kind of big, but not taking up the entire screen. So let's refresh. Oh, did I save it? I did save it, right? Save. There we go. So now it's only going 300, it's only 300 pixels tall, 500 pixels wide. So it's much, much, much smaller, and it makes it look, it's a lot easier to see that actual picture on my screen. Okay, so this is another thing you always want to do. You always want an alt attribute, and you always want a height and width value for your image, because you never want just the native resolution of an image. Most images are way too big to be shown comfortably on a website. Okay, perfect. Now let's say I wanted to actually create an image, but that image was a link, right? I want to be able to click on that image and make it go to a specific link. So for example, let's say I want to click on this airplane image and I want to go to CNN.com. Well, it's actually pretty easy. What you do is you have your anchor element here with your href to tell it where to go. Set your target so that it opens in the right tab. But right here, instead of text, what we could do is we can get rid of that text and replace it with this image element. We can take this entire image element and put it inside the anchor element where the text is supposed to go. Now I know that's long, that looks really long, but it's really helpful, right? Because now I will have an image on my screen, and when I click on it, I will go to CNN. Save. All right, let's refresh that. So now my words went away and I still have my image. When I hover over it, notice my cursor changes to be, a, a little hand indicating that I can click on it. And when I do click on it, it takes me to CNN.com. So that's how easy it is. It's super, super simple to do that. Now you can create buttons and stuff. You can create a button and have it click the button and it'll take you to a different web page or whatever. There's one more thing I want to show you, and this won't take long. I just want to show you something really quickly. Let's say I wanted to create an image element and I wanted the source to be a picture that I already had on my hard drive, right? So let's go back to, searching for airplanes. Let's find a different airplane and let's save image as, and we'll put it in my website folder. Now, what I'm going to have to do is set the source to be the file name itself. So let's look at the file name for that picture, and it's maxresdefault.jpg. I'm actually going to rename that. I'm going to rename it to pic.jpg. And when I go back here, I type pic.jpg, right? And I want my alt attribute as well, and my alt attribute is going to be, another airplane. And I want to set my height to be, we'll say the same height. Height is 300, and my width is going to be 500. So it should work. Even though the file isn't on the internet, it's actually on my hard drive, it still works, right? The file goes right there, and it's pulling it from my hard drive. Now, what's the difference between the two? Do we want to pull files from the internet, or do we want to pull files from our hard drives? Well, there's some, really, I'm in the camp of pulling images from your hard drive. Because in my mind, this is the way I think about it. In my mind, if I have the image on my hard drive or on my web server somewhere, and I can control that image, meaning if I don't delete it, if I don't change it, it won't change and it won't go away, then I can be sure that that image is always going to be on my website every time I go to it, right? Whereas if I'm using an image that exists somewhere online, that link may die. That image may get deleted. It may change the file name, something. You don't have control over that image, so it could go away. So if you're doing professional projects, definitely save your files and use your own files. And again, if you change the file path, for example, if I put my picture in an images folder, which is what you probably should do if you're organizing your information, make sure you update the reference, the source. Make sure you update the source so that you can find that file properly, right? And if I refresh, it should still work. Oh, and it doesn't. Okay, well, let's see what happened there. IMAGES, pic.jpg. IMAGES. Weird. Let's try it again. Yeah, still didn't work. All right. Well, I did something wrong there, but I'm not going to spend time figuring it out. But just know that you can save files onto your hard drive, and as long as it knows where to look for them, as long as your website knows where to look for them, it should update them properly and it should show them properly. So that's really all you need to know about images and links. Especially that's all you need to know to do the assignments, to do the quiz and the assignments for this week. This is hopefully you're seeing that we're starting to expand our skills a bit, and we're learning much more about how to make our web pages look great. Um, these are skills that you're going to use in every web page you build from now on, because obviously we need links and obviously we need images to make web pages look nice. So I'm going to leave it there, let you practice. Definitely check out the W3 Schools links I've given you. They give you much more information. You can play around with the exercises there to sharpen your skills before you take the quiz. All right, that's it for me. I will see you next time. Thanks.